Hello there and welcome to Science for Sleep. Tonight, we explore one of the most mysterious frontiers of human life, the elusive and endlessly fascinating world of sleep. Every single night, our bodies shift into a different mode. Our minds drift through other worlds while the brain works tirelessly to repair and restore. We close our eyes, surrender control, and yet somehow wake up refreshed and renewed. But what really happens in these hidden hours remains a profound mystery. Some animals sleep with only half their brain at a time, while others dream vividly, just like us. Sleep is not simply a quiet escape from the day but an absolute necessity, something that sculpts memory, protects health, and shapes how we think and feel. It is a nightly act of renewal written deep into the code of life itself. Sleep has been studied for centuries, yet its true essence continues to evade complete explanation. Why should organisms lose awareness and become vulnerable for hours each day? Why do brains conjure dreams so vivid and strange? Theories abound. Sleep conserves energy, repairs the body, processes memory, and prunes neural connections to keep the brain efficient. All of these ideas hold truth, yet none explain everything. Even more fascinating is the diversity of sleep across species. Some animals sleep half their brains at once, dolphins for instance, so they can continue surfacing for air while resting the other hemisphere. Others sleep so briefly that it seems impossible they rest at all, while some, like humans, enter long cycles of deep sleep and dreaming. The fact that sleep has persisted across billions of years of evolution suggests that it serves a fundamental, irreplaceable role in life itself. Each night, we surrender to something both universal and inexplicable, a ritual of silence that unites all creatures capable of consciousness. No one truly knows why we dream. Dreaming may be one of the strangest and most intimate human experiences, a theater of the mind where impossible things happen but feel entirely real. Scientists debate whether dreams are functional or merely byproducts of neural activity. Some theories propose that dreams consolidate memories, helping the brain organize and store the day's experiences into long-term knowledge. Others suggest they regulate emotion, helping us process stress, anxiety, and trauma through symbolic stories. Still others believe dreams are random firings of neurons stitched together by the brain's relentless desire to find meaning and pattern in chaos. The truth may blend all of these ideas. Dreams are emotionally powerful, vivid, and often bizarre, filled with sensations of flying, falling, or being chased through surreal landscapes. They can awaken feelings that linger long after the details fade. The mystery of dreaming is perhaps best left partly unexplained, for its power lies in its elusiveness. Dreams remain a secret world within us, a nightly voyage into the unconscious where imagination roams free. Sleep itself is not a uniquely human experience, but a biological rhythm shared by almost every living creature. From insects to elephants, from fish to birds, every animal with a nervous system experiences some version of sleep. Even creatures without complex brains, like jellyfish, exhibit sleep-like behavior, slowing down, becoming less responsive, and recovering with rest. This discovery was astonishing to scientists, revealing that sleep might predate brains themselves. Perhaps, in the earliest forms of life, rest began as a way for cells to conserve energy, a cycle of activity and restoration that later evolved into the complex sleep patterns we see today. When you watch a tiny fruit fly pause mid-flight to rest or a whale float motionless near the ocean surface, you are witnessing the same fundamental pattern that governs human sleep, a rhythm of life written into biology itself. Sleep gives every organism time to reset, repair, clear away waste, and strengthen memory. No matter how differently it appears among species, the existence of sleep in every branch of life reminds us that rest is not optional. It is a law of nature as essential as eating, drinking, and breathing. Humans spend about 1/3 of their lives asleep. If you live to be 90 years old, you will have spent roughly 30 years in the act of sleeping, 3 decades of dreams, silence, and unseen repair. Though it may seem that those years vanish into nothingness, they are far from wasted. Sleep is a quiet workshop where the body rebuilds itself, the brain organizes its vast network of connections, and the mind prepares for another day of wakeful experience. Without sleep, our waking lives would slowly crumble. Every night, our brains replay and rewire experiences, strengthen immune defenses, regulate hormones, and reshape the architecture of thought itself. Sleep is not mere downtime but an active, dynamic process of renewal. It is the invisible partner of consciousness. Without it, creativity falters, memory fades, and even identity begins to unravel. Your life is not 2/3 waking and 1/3 sleeping. It is one whole existence built equally by both halves. The longest anyone has ever stayed awake is 11 days. In 1964, a high school student named Randy Gardner attempted this as part of a science experiment. At first, he was merely tired, but soon his mood deteriorated, his memory failed, and his reasoning dissolved into confusion. By the end, he was hallucinating, seeing things that weren't there, mistaking signs for people, and drifting into waking dreams. Afterward, he slept and recovered, but the ordeal demonstrated how fragile the mind becomes without rest. Scientists now know that extreme sleep deprivation can be more dangerous than starvation. You can survive for weeks without food, but just a few days without sleep can cause the body and mind to collapse. In animal studies, rats deprived of sleep die faster than those deprived of food. In humans, even one sleepless night impairs coordination, weakens the immune system, elevates blood pressure, and clouds judgment. After just 24 hours awake, reaction times slowed to levels equivalent to being legally intoxicated. Prolonged sleeplessness distorts perception, triggers hallucinations, and can even lead to fatal disorders such as fatal familial insomnia, a rare genetic condition in which victims lose the ability to sleep entirely and eventually die. Sleep, then, is not a luxury, it is survival. Food nourishes the body, but sleep sustains the mind, and without it, no amount of energy can save us. Inside the brain, the importance of sleep becomes even clearer. During deep sleep, an extraordinary process unfolds. Channels within the brain open to allow cerebrospinal fluid to flow freely through neural tissue, washing away toxins and waste products accumulated during waking hours. This cleansing network, known as the glymphatic system, acts like a nightly tide that refreshes and restores. One of the substances it removes is beta amyloid, a protein associated with Alzheimer's disease. Without sleep, these toxic substances build up, impairing function and damaging neurons. During the day, this cleansing system works slowly and inefficiently, but when you drift into deep sleep, it surges into action, flushing the brain clean. This is why sleep feels restorative, why fatigue lifts and clarity returns after rest. It's not just rest, it's maintenance at the cellular level, the brain's nightly self-repair routine. The deeper we study sleep, the more we realize it shapes every aspect of life. It governs growth and healing, stabilizes mood, and fuels creativity. During REM sleep, the stage when dreams are most vivid, the brain rehearses and recombines ideas in ways that may inspire innovation. Many great discoveries and artistic breakthroughs have come to people in dreams. Sleep also strengthens memory, transferring fragile short-term traces into lasting networks of knowledge. In children, sleep drives development, guiding the brain as it learns to interpret and respond to the world. In adults, it preserves cognitive flexibility, emotional balance, and decision-making. Even the immune system relies on sleep. During rest, it releases proteins called cytokines that fight infection and inflammation. Without enough sleep, we become more susceptible to illness and stress. Sleep's rhythms are orchestrated by the body's internal clock, the circadian system, which aligns our rest-wake cycle with the planet's 24-hour rotation. Light signals from the eyes travel to a region of the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which adjusts hormone levels, temperature, and alertness accordingly. When this rhythm is disrupted, by shift work, jet lag, or excessive screen time, our sleep quality suffers, and so does our health. Chronic misalignment of this clock is linked to obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. The modern world, with its artificial lights and endless stimulation, often interferes with our natural rhythms, tricking our brains into thinking it's still day. Learning to respect the body's timing, sleeping when it's dark and waking when it's light, can restore harmony to both mind and body. For all its mystery, sleep connects us to something profoundly universal. Every living creature, from the tiniest jellyfish to the largest whale, follows the same ancient rhythm of activity and rest. It is a reminder that rest is not weakness but wisdom, a strategy evolved by life itself to endure. When we surrender to sleep, we are participating in one of nature's oldest rituals, a nightly return to balance that links us to every other living thing. Sleep is at once scientific and sacred, a biological process and a dream of the cosmos. As you close your eyes tonight, remember that you are joining a silent symphony older than humanity itself. The waves of the brain slow, thoughts dissolve, and the body begins its quiet restoration. In the stillness, every cell remembers what it means to be alive. So breathe deeply, release the day, and drift into that ancient rhythm. It's not just that you wake up feeling recharged after a night's sleep. It's that your brain has literally been washed, polished, and prepared for another day of thought. During sleep, your mind undergoes an extraordinary process of renewal. Dreams, far from being meaningless flickers of imagination, are deeply connected to how the brain processes emotion. When we dream, we often revisit experiences that made us anxious, joyful, or sad during the day. This is no coincidence. Studies suggest that dreaming is the brain's way of working through emotions, softening their sharp edges, and transforming distress into understanding. During REM sleep, the amygdala, the emotional center of the brain, is highly active, while stress chemicals like norepinephrine drop to their lowest levels, creating a safe psychological space where difficult experiences can be replayed and resolved. In this internal dream laboratory, emotions are blended, softened, reshaped, and filed away for future use. That's why a good night's sleep can ease a bad mood and why grief or anger feels sharper when we can't rest. Dreams don't erase pain, but they help us make sense of it. In that sense, every dream is not just a fleeting story, but a form of silent therapy written into the language of the night, a nightly rehearsal of the mind's resilience. Not all dreams, however, are experienced in the same way. Some people dream in color, vivid and bright, while others see their dream worlds entirely in black and white, as though projected through the screen of an old television. Interestingly, in the mid-20th century, when black and white media dominated daily life, many people reported that their dreams lacked color. As color films and televisions became widespread, reports of grayscale dreams declined dramatically. This curious cultural shift suggests that our dreams are not shaped by biology alone, but also by the media and imagery we consume while awake. Still, a portion of the population continues to dream in monochrome, their sleeping worlds painted in contrast and shadow. Scientists are unsure why this happens. It may be that the brain's visual centers are wired differently in such individuals, or that the mind simply omits color for efficiency, storing only the most essential emotional and narrative details. Whatever the cause, it reveals that dreaming is not a uniform experience but a deeply personal reflection of how each brain constructs its inner world. Even in the private theater of the mind, no two people dream alike. The diversity of sleep becomes even more remarkable when we look beyond humans. In the oceans, dolphins face a unique challenge. They must stay alert to breathe, avoid predators, and care for their pods, yet they, too, need rest. Their solution is elegant and astonishing. Dolphins practice something known as unihemispheric slow-wave sleep, a state in which only one half of the brain sleeps at a time while the other remains awake. One eye closes while the other stays open, allowing them to maintain awareness of their surroundings. After a period, the roles reverse, giving each side of the brain a chance to rest. This delicate balance allows dolphins to swim slowly, surface for air, and stay safe in the ocean's vast expanse without ever falling completely unconscious. To us, sleep may feel like surrender. To dolphins, it is negotiation, half dream, half wakefulness, a graceful compromise between vigilance and rest that ensures survival. Birds, too, exhibit astonishing adaptations to the challenges of sleep. Some species can nap while flying. Frigate birds, for example, soar for days or even weeks over the open ocean, rarely touching land. Researchers equipped these birds with tiny brain monitors and discovered that they can slip into brief bursts of unihemispheric sleep while gliding through the air. One side of the brain shuts down momentarily while the other maintains control of flight. These micro-naps, often lasting only seconds, are strung together over long journeys to provide just enough rest to sustain life and motion. During migration, when safe resting spots are scarce, this adaptation becomes vital. Even more remarkable, when scientists compared frigate birds sleeping in the air with those resting on land, they found that the airborne birds slept drastically less but still performed just as well in flight. Nature, it seems, has designed sleep to be flexible, able to bend and adapt to the extreme demands of survival. Even in the endless expanse of sky, with wings outstretched and eyes half closed, rest still finds a way. Migration pushes birds to their biological limits, and some species, like swifts, take this to the extreme. Swifts may spend months in the sky, eating, drinking, and even sleeping without landing. Using advanced tracking devices, scientists found that these birds can enter short, alternating bursts of sleep mid-flight, much like dolphins, shutting down one hemisphere of the brain at a time. Occasionally, both sides dip briefly into rest, yet the bird continues to glide, carried by the wind. This extraordinary ability allows them to travel thousands of miles across continents and oceans without pause. To the swift, the sky itself is both home and bed, a continuous realm of motion and rest blended seamlessly together. It is one of evolution's most beautiful solutions to an impossible question: how to move across vast distances without ever truly stopping to sleep. On the other end of the spectrum lies the giraffe, an animal whose sleep is fleeting and rare. Despite their majestic calm and towering presence, giraffes sleep less than almost any other mammal, often less than 2 hours per day, divided into brief naps lasting only a few minutes at a time. This pattern is likely an evolutionary adaptation to survival in the wild, where predators pose constant threats. For a giraffe, lying down and getting back up is a slow and cumbersome process, leaving them dangerously exposed. Instead, they snatch short fragments of rest while standing, or in curled positions that allow them to awaken at the slightest sound. Astonishingly, these microsleeps seem to be enough. Giraffes remain alert, healthy, and functional on a fraction of the sleep that most animals require. Their lives demonstrate that sleep, though essential, is not one size fits all. It can be stretched thin or compressed tight, molded by the pressures of the environment. For giraffes, sleep is a precious luxury, a brief moment of stillness in a world that demands constant readiness. In contrast, cats live on the opposite end of the spectrum, masters of rest and relaxation. Domestic cats spend between 12 and 16 hours each day asleep, often even more. This behavior, though it may look lazy, is an ancient survival strategy inherited from their wild ancestors. Big cats like lions and tigers also spend most of their day sleeping, conserving energy for the short but intense bursts of activity that hunting requires. For your household pet, those endless naps are simply a reflection of evolution's wisdom. Cats alternate rapidly between light and deep sleep, remaining alert even while dreaming. Their ears twitch at the slightest sound, ready to awaken instantly if necessary. When they stretch, purr, and curl up again, they embody a perfect balance between relaxation and readiness. In a cat's slumber, one can witness millions of years of evolutionary fine-tuning, the art of resting deeply while staying prepared to move in an instant. Watching a cat sleep is like observing evolution's masterpiece, peace and preparedness intertwined in perfect harmony. If cats and giraffes represent two extremes of the sleep spectrum, the platypus stands as one of nature's strangest outliers. This semi-aquatic, egg-laying mammal, with its duck bill and beaver tail, also happens to be one of the most prolific dreamers in the animal kingdom. Studies show that the platypus spends up to 8 hours each day in REM sleep, the phase most closely associated with vivid dreaming. That's more REM sleep than humans, cats, or even newborn babies experience. During this time, their eyes flicker beneath closed lids, and their bodies twitch as if rehearsing movements from waking life. Scientists believe this may represent a more primitive form of dreaming, perhaps an evolutionary window into how REM sleep first developed in mammals. By studying the platypus, researchers catch glimpses of the deep biological past, when dreaming may have evolved from instinctive movement rehearsal into the complex emotional and narrative experiences we humans now have. In the platypus's nightly rest, science sees echoes of evolution's earliest dreamers, creatures whose slumber helped shape the future of consciousness itself. And then there are humans, whose dreams can become conscious worlds unto themselves. In rare but fascinating cases, people experience lucid dreams, moments when they realize they are dreaming while still inside the dream. This awareness opens the door to extraordinary freedom. In a lucid dream, you can soar across landscapes, walk through walls, breathe underwater, or shape entire dream worlds with the power of thought. For centuries, lucid dreaming has been practiced in spiritual traditions such as Tibetan dream yoga, where it is seen as a path to self-awareness and enlightenment. Modern science has confirmed that lucid dreams are real states of consciousness, distinct from both waking life and typical dreaming. Brain scans reveal unique patterns of activity. Parts of the brain associated with logic and self-awareness remain active even as the rest of the mind drifts through the surreal world of dreams. Some people stumble into lucidity by chance, while others train themselves using techniques like dream journaling, reality checks, and mental affirmations before sleep. For those who master it, lucid dreaming becomes a playground of the mind, a place for creativity, healing, and exploration beyond the limits of waking reality. In lucid dreams, imagination knows no boundaries, and the dreamer becomes both creator and witness, architect and adventurer, within the infinite landscapes of their own consciousness. From dolphins that sleep with half a brain to birds that nap mid-flight, from giraffes that sleep for minutes to platypuses that dream for hours, and from humans who can control their own dreams to cats that purr in endless cycles of rest, sleep emerges as one of life's most astonishing universal truths. It takes countless forms yet serves the same fundamental purpose across the tree of life: to restore, to protect, and to prepare the living mind for another day. Whether it's a fleeting nap beneath the savannah sun or a long descent into the depths of human dreaming, sleep remains one of the most profound and poetic mysteries of existence. Each night, as eyes close and consciousness drifts, the world quiets, and life renews itself. Within the silent theater of sleep, evolution whispers the same ancient message through every species: rest is not weakness, it is wisdom, the breathe between moments, the stillness that keeps all living things alive. The idea that our minds can recognize their own illusions and then play with them is one of the most extraordinary frontiers of sleep science, suggesting that even in our deepest rest, part of us can still wake up. Sleep, in all its mysterious stages, serves as the silent architect of our well-being, shaping memory, emotion, and physical health in ways we are only beginning to understand. It strengthens your memories, acting as the invisible hand that organizes, reinforces, and refines the experiences of waking life. When you study, learn a new skill, or even hum a tune repeatedly, sleep becomes the hidden force that locks those lessons into place. During deep sleep, the hippocampus, a key memory hub, replays recent experiences and transfers them into long-term storage within the cortex, much like an overnight backup, ensuring important files are preserved while unnecessary clutter is deleted. Without this nightly consolidation, memories remain fragile, easily lost to the fog of fatigue, while with it, they crystallize into the very fabric of who you are. This explains why pulling an all-nighter rarely pays off. Without sleep, the mind never completes its process of transformation. Each night, sleep acts as a silent tutor, weaving the lessons of the day into the architecture of the brain itself. Yet, the importance of sleep goes beyond memory retention. It is also about accuracy. When you are deprived of sleep, your brain becomes prone to distortions, struggling to distinguish fact from imagination. Deprived minds often fill gaps with fabricated details, growing overconfident in false memories. Studies have shown that even mild sleep deprivation increases the likelihood of misremembering, confusion, and suggestibility, leading to errors in judgment, mistaken eyewitness accounts, and emotional instability. The tired brain stitches fragments together like a clumsy storyteller, merging reality and illusion until they blur. Sleep, therefore, is not just the act of remembering but of remembering truthfully. Without it, the story of your life begins to smear, as though ink on a damp page. Dreaming, Perhaps the most poetic expression of this nightly process occurs during the rapid eye movement (REM) stage, where the mind, though at rest, becomes wildly active. During REM sleep, the brain's visual centers flare, emotions surge, and fragments of memories combine into surreal adventures that defy logic yet reveal hidden truths about our inner lives. The body, however, is paralyzed during this time, held still by a safeguard mechanism that prevents us from physically acting out our dreams. It is a paradoxical state, complete stillness on the outside and vivid activity within. Many of humanity's greatest ideas and creative insights, from symphonies to scientific theories, are said to have emerged from this strange borderland between consciousness and sleep. REM is proof that even when the body rests, the mind continues to explore, inventing worlds of wonder. Beyond imagination, sleep is also the body's most powerful form of therapy and repair. During deep sleep, often referred to as slow-wave sleep, the body enters a phase of intense restoration. Growth hormone levels rise, stimulating tissue repair, muscle growth, and cellular recovery. For athletes, this is the window when their bodies truly heal from training, but even for those who do not compete, deep sleep remains essential. Every muscle in the body experiences small stresses throughout the day, walking, lifting, even sitting upright, and it is during deep sleep that these micro-tears are repaired, allowing the body to awaken stronger and more resilient. Deprive yourself of this, and fatigue, weakness, and slower recovery soon follow. Deep sleep is like a hidden workshop, a quiet factory of rejuvenation where broken parts are rebuilt and energy reserves replenished. Sleep also orchestrates one of the most delicate systems in the human body, our appetite. It regulates the hormones ghrelin and leptin, which control hunger and fullness. When sleep is scarce, ghrelin levels spike, triggering feelings of hunger, while leptin levels drop, silencing the body's signal that it has eaten enough. This hormonal imbalance leads to stronger cravings, especially for calorie-dense foods, because the body mistakes exhaustion for energy depletion. From an evolutionary standpoint, this made sense. If one was awake longer, one needed more fuel. But in the modern world, chronic sleep deprivation turns this ancient survival response into a trap, leading to overeating and weight gain. Sleep, therefore, is not simply a break from the day's work but a biological reset that restores the balance between hunger and satisfaction. When this rhythm is broken, no amount of dieting can fully compensate for the chaos within. The connection between sleep and cravings goes even deeper. Research shows that tired individuals are not only hungrier but also more drawn to junk food. Brain imaging studies reveal that when people are deprived of sleep, the brain's reward centers light up dramatically in response to sugary, fatty foods, cookies, chips, pizza, while the frontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and self-control, slows down. This imbalance, stronger cravings paired with weaker restraint, creates a perfect storm for overindulgence. Some scientists believe this cycle contributes significantly to the global rise in obesity, as the body in exhaustion mistakes restlessness for hunger and reaches for easy energy. In this way, sleep acts as a shield against poor dietary habits, a natural regulator that guards against the impulsive choices driven by fatigue. Perhaps one of sleep's most vital but underappreciated roles lies in the immune system. Every night, as you sink into slumber, the body launches an internal defense campaign. Immune cells, particularly cytokines, which fight infection and inflammation, are released in higher quantities during deep sleep. T cells, the immune warriors that detect and destroy harmful invaders, become more active and efficient. People who regularly get sufficient sleep are far less likely to contract common colds, flu, or other infections, and vaccines tend to be more effective in those who are well rested because the immune system's memory consolidates more strongly when the body is at ease. Even a few nights of poor sleep can make you more vulnerable to illness, weakening the immune barrier that protects you from everyday pathogens. Sleep, in this sense, is not merely rest, it is nightly armor, reforged with every dream. The evidence for this connection is striking. Studies have shown that people who sleep fewer than 7 hours per night are almost 3 times more likely to catch a cold than those who sleep 8 or more. The pattern extends far beyond simple infections. Chronic sleep deprivation is linked to delayed wound healing, increased inflammation, and even elevated risks of metabolic disorders and cancer. It is not an exaggeration to say that sleep is a frontline defense, a form of medicine administered by nature itself. Every missed hour carves invisible cracks into your biological armor, and over time, those cracks widen until the body's defenses falter. Sometimes, the simplest cure is not found in a bottle but in the quiet stillness of night. Even the brain's energy use transforms dramatically during sleep. In deep, slow-wave stages, its overall energy consumption drops significantly. While certain regions, the ones responsible for repair and memory, remain highly active, the rest of the brain enters a deliberate low-power mode, allowing neural circuits to cool down after a day of ceaseless processing. The result is not complete silence, but a rhythmic slowing, like the ocean tide retreating from a busy shore. This reduction in activity is part of why deep sleep feels so restorative. The brain finally steps away from its constant chatter, conserving energy while performing essential maintenance. Yet even in this apparent rest, the brain's complexity hums quietly beneath the surface, ensuring that you awaken ready to think, move, and feel once again. Sleep, then, is not a passive state. It is the most active form of restoration known to life, a cycle that rebuilds the body, reshapes memory, balances appetite, strengthens immunity, and replenishes energy. It polishes the mind's edges, softens emotions, and clears mental clutter. It sculpts who we are each night and prepares us to face the world anew. To neglect sleep is to chip away at the foundations of health, clarity, and creativity. To honor it is to let evolution's oldest medicine work in silence. In every gentle breath of the sleeping body, there is a chorus of renewal, proof that rest is not the absence of life but one of its most vital expressions, a nightly miracle that keeps the mind sharp, the heart steady, and the spirit whole. That balance between high activity and deep rest cycles through the night, like the brain rocking itself between work and recovery. And each deep sleep phase becomes a pocket of silence when the mind finally sets its tools down. Sleep helps the brain rewire itself through one of its most profound gifts, neuroplasticity, the ability to change and adapt. During the day, as we learn new things, the connections between neurons strengthen but also become messy, overloaded, and inefficient. At night, particularly during sleep, the brain prunes unnecessary connections and strengthens others, reshaping its wiring for clarity and efficiency. This process is much like tending a garden, trimming away excess branches and nourishing the strongest so that only the most essential pathways flourish. Without sleep, learning remains tangled and disorganized, like seeds scattered but never rooted. With sleep, experiences settle deep into memory, forming lasting knowledge. In this way, the brain becomes more flexible, more prepared to face future challenges, and more capable of adapting to new experiences. Sleep is not only recovery from the day before, it is preparation for the one ahead, sculpting the brain and transforming fleeting experiences into the architecture of thought. This is why infants, whose brains are developing rapidly, spend so much time in REM sleep, up to half of their total rest, far more than adults who average only about 20%. Scientists believe this abundance of REM sleep plays a vital role in brain development. Babies constantly absorb new sensations, sights, and sounds, and their brains must rapidly build the networks to process and integrate them. REM sleep may be the workshop where this integration occurs, weaving sensory input into early forms of memory and learning. The twitching and subtle movements often seen in sleeping babies may be outward signs of this intense internal activity. As children grow, the proportion of REM decreases, gradually settling into adult patterns, but in those early years, dreaming may be one of the hidden engines of cognitive and emotional development, a kind of secret rehearsal space where the mind practices before it learns to speak. Newborns can sleep up to 17 hours a day, spending most of their first weeks in fragmented cycles of rest, often lasting only 2 or 3 hours at a time. This irregular pattern, though exhausting for parents, is essential for survival and brain growth, aligned with the newborn's need for frequent feeding and neural development. The alternation of REM and non-REM sleep in these early months consolidates even the simplest forms of learning, such as recognizing a parent's voice or scent. Over time, sleep gradually becomes more consolidated. But those early months remind us that human consciousness begins in dreams, that life itself may first take shape in the quiet rehearsal space of sleep before awakening to the outer world. As humans mature, the sleep pattern changes again, especially during adolescence. Teenagers naturally fall asleep later than adults because of a biological shift in the circadian rhythm, the internal clock that regulates sleep and wakefulness. During adolescence, melatonin, the hormone that signals sleepiness, is released later in the evening, making it biologically natural for teens to stay up late and sleep in. Unfortunately, modern school schedules often clash with this rhythm, forcing teens to wake up long before their bodies are ready. The result is widespread sleep deprivation among adolescents, which affects mood, focus, learning, and even long-term health. Studies have shown that when schools delay start times to align better with teenagers' biological clocks, students show measurable improvements in grades, attendance, and overall well-being. The teenage tendency to stay up late is not rebellion, it is biology. Sleep follows a rhythmic structure of roughly 90-minute cycles throughout the night. Each cycle moves through stages of light sleep, then deep slow-wave sleep, and finally into REM before beginning again. Most people experience 4 to 6 of these cycles per night, with deep sleep dominating earlier cycles and REM sleep taking over in later ones. This 90-minute rhythm acts like a biological metronome, subtly guiding the body and mind through the night. Waking up at the end of a cycle rather than in the middle of deep sleep often leads to feeling more refreshed, while interruptions during deep sleep can cause grogginess. Each cycle is a kind of journey, a descent into physical stillness followed by an ascent into dream. On an average night, you travel through about 5 complete sleep cycles, each one a carefully timed loop of restoration and renewal. The dreams grow longer and more vivid toward morning as deep sleep recedes and REM becomes dominant. This structure explains why the last few hours of the night are often the most dream-filled, and why cutting sleep short deprives the mind of much of its emotional and cognitive processing. Together, these cycles form the architecture of rest, the hidden scaffolding that sustains waking life. It's astonishing to think that every night, the human mind silently journeys through these repeating stages, repairing, integrating, and rebuilding itself, preparing you to think, learn, and feel all over again the next day. Across cultures and throughout history, short bouts of daytime rest, naps, have been recognized as both a luxury and a necessity. Modern science now reveals that these small intervals of sleep may even contribute to longevity. In Mediterranean regions where siestas are common, studies have shown that people who nap regularly are less likely to die from heart disease. The reason appears simple yet profound: naps lower stress, reduce blood pressure, and allow the cardiovascular system to recover. Napping restores alertness and balances mood, reducing the wear and tear caused by daily stress. Though research continues, the pattern is compelling. A nap may be more than a moment of indulgence. It might be an investment in long-term health. There is a poetic wisdom in this, that by surrendering to stillness, the body actually strengthens itself. Even a 20-minute nap, sometimes called a power nap, can sharpen the mind and refresh focus without descending into the deeper stages of sleep that cause grogginess upon waking. In that brief window, the brain dips just deep enough into light sleep to reset, improving learning, problem-solving, and alertness. Students who nap after studying often perform better on memory tests. Professionals in high-stress environments, pilots, surgeons, and emergency workers, use short naps to maintain precision and focus under pressure. Some modern workplaces even install nap pods, acknowledging that productivity improves when the brain gets the chance to recharge. 20 minutes may seem trivial, yet it allows the mind to pause, breathe, and reorganize itself in the middle of life's long climb. Sleep, then, doesn't always need to be long to be powerful. But there is a tipping point. Naps lasting 30 to 60 minutes can lead you into deeper stages of sleep, and waking from those depths can feel like dragging yourself through heavy mud, leaving you sluggish and disoriented. This phenomenon, called sleep inertia, is a reminder that even rest has its rhythms, that too much or too little can disrupt the delicate balance the brain maintains between wakefulness and restoration. Sleep, in all its forms, is not passive, it is active healing. It rebuilds the mind, organizes memory, restores energy, and recalibrates emotion. It shapes who we are, from the dreaming infant whose mind is being built neuron by neuron, to the sleep-deprived teenager struggling against the rhythm of the world, to the adult rediscovering strength in a quiet afternoon nap. Every heartbeat of rest is part of the same great cycle, the dance between motion and stillness, between consciousness and surrender, the rhythm that sustains life itself. This state, called sleep inertia, occurs when the brain awakens in the middle of a sleep cycle, with neurons still firing in their slow, restorative rhythm, leaving you groggy, sluggish, and weighed down by heavy limbs, the strange sensation of having slept too much. This grogginess can last from minutes to hours and often interferes with focus and alertness. Over time, taking long naps that extend into deep sleep stages may even disrupt nighttime rest by shifting the body's circadian rhythm, confusing the internal clock that governs wakefulness and sleep. Yet long naps aren't universally harmful. In cultures that embrace siestas, people naturally balance short bouts of daytime rest with later bedtimes, maintaining healthy patterns without disrupting the overall cycle. For most, however, the ideal nap lies in brevity, long enough to recharge but short enough to avoid sinking too deep. The true art of napping, then, is not merely closing one's eyes but mastering the precise moment to awaken, harmonizing rest with rhythm. In certain spiritual traditions, sleep itself becomes a discipline rather than indulgence. For example, some Buddhist monks train themselves to sleep while sitting upright in the meditation posture, leaning neither left nor right, their bodies perfectly balanced between wakefulness and rest. This practice prevents deep immersion into heavy sleep and keeps the mind near awareness, blending rest and meditation into one seamless state. Such monks may sleep only a few hours each night, distributed across brief intervals, yet they maintain clarity of thought and serenity. To them, sleep is not an escape from consciousness but another form of mindfulness, a chance to refine discipline, self-awareness, and detachment. Imagine drifting into slumber while sitting straight-backed, breathing evenly, the mind hovering between dream and focus, a perfect balance of stillness and awareness. Where most people see sleep as surrender, monks view it as practice, a spiritual exercise that demonstrates that even rest can be mindful. History offers many examples of individuals whose unusual sleep habits became part of their legend. Napoleon Bonaparte, the French emperor and military strategist, was famous for needing astonishingly little sleep, reportedly only about 4 hours per night, supplementing his rest with brief naps during the day. He viewed sleep as an inconvenience, famously declaring, 6 hours for a man, 7 for a woman, 8 for a fool. His relentless energy fueled his military campaigns and political decisions, yet the cost was evident. Near the end of his reign, accounts described him as increasingly erratic, fatigued, and short-tempered. Though his brilliance was undeniable, one wonders how much greater his endurance and judgment might have been had he allowed himself more rest. Napoleon symbolizes the archetype of the short sleeper, those rare individuals who seem to function on minimal rest, though for most people, mimicking such habits would lead to exhaustion and decline. His empire may have been built on ambition, but his body and mind bore the toll of sleepless nights. Another genius, Leonardo da Vinci, approached sleep differently. The Renaissance polymath is believed to have experimented with polyphasic sleep, breaking rest into many short naps throughout the day instead of one long period at night. The idea was that by sleeping in short intervals, he could maximize productivity and sustain creative energy nearly around the clock. This method, now sometimes called the Huberman schedule, theoretically reduces total sleep time while maintaining enough deep and REM sleep in frequent bursts to keep the mind functional. However, such patterns are grueling, difficult to maintain, and often unsustainable long-term. Whether or not the stories about Leonardo's schedule are exaggerated, the image of him sketching inventions between tiny naps is compelling. It suggests that for him, even sleep was an art form, a tool to be shaped and mastered. To most, nightly rest is necessity, not experiment, but for Leonardo, every domain of life, even slumber, may have been another canvas for creativity. Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, shared Napoleon's disdain for rest. He saw sleep as an obstacle to productivity, a thief of time that could be better spent inventing. His creation of electric light itself symbolized humanity's conquest of the night, extending work and creativity far beyond sunset. Yet ironically, Edison himself was known to nap frequently, often dozing in his workshop chair during experiments. These unintentional naps may have been the secret to his bursts of inspiration, recharging his inventive mind. Despite his public scorn for rest, his private habits revealed the truth modern science confirms. Sleep is not an enemy of creativity but its ally. In fact, research now shows that sleep enhances problem-solving, insight, and originality by allowing the subconscious mind to reorganize and connect ideas. Edison's waste of time may have been the hidden wellspring of his genius. His short naps perhaps fueled the very brilliance he thought came from sleepless perseverance. Beyond human legends of ambition and discipline, the nature of dreaming itself reveals how creative and mysterious sleep truly is. Blind individuals, even those born without sight, can experience vivid dreams. Those who lose their vision later in life often continue to see visual imagery in their dreams, long after blindness sets in. Meanwhile, people who have never seen the world through their eyes report dreams filled with sound, touch, movement, and even flashes of light-like sensations generated purely by the brain's imagination. Their dreams might consist of textured environments, melodic voices, familiar spaces mapped through hearing and memory, all demonstrating that dreaming is not mere replay of sensory experience but an act of pure mental creation. The brain, it seems, is capable of generating entire worlds independent of sight. For the blind, dreams prove that imagination transcends the senses, that the mind can see without eyes and feel without touch, crafting realities from memory and emotion alone. Similarly, recurring dreams, those that repeat across months or decades, reveal another dimension of the dreaming mind. Many people experience such dreams throughout life, returning to familiar settings or themes, being chased, falling, forgetting an exam, or flying through a remembered sky. Scientists believe recurring dreams may arise from unresolved emotions, lingering stress, or deeply rooted memories that the brain continues to process subconsciously. Some dreamers describe them as messages, riddles, or inner echoes calling for resolution. These dreams can vanish for years and then suddenly return, unchanged, like old songs replaying in the mind. Whether symbolic or psychological, they demonstrate that the dream world possesses continuity, an inner storyline that parallels our waking life, shaped by time, emotion, and experience. For some, these dreams become part of their personal mythology, silent reflections of the mind's unfinished business. Children, however, often experience dreams of a more vivid and frightening kind, nightmares. Their young brains, still developing emotional regulation, tend to turn daily fears and fantasies into dramatic nighttime stories. Monsters under the bed, separation from parents, or school anxieties can appear magnified in dreams. Nightmares, though distressing, may serve a purpose. Researchers suggest they help children rehearse emotional responses to threats, a kind of safe simulation that strengthens psychological resilience. Over time, as emotional control and reasoning mature, nightmares usually decrease, though they may resurge during adolescence, when hormonal and social changes intensify inner turmoil. Nightmares remind us that sleep is not always peaceful, that the dream world can also be a battleground where the mind confronts its own fears. Yet they fade, leaving only traces of the imaginary beasts that once prowled the edges of childhood. Among the strangest phenomena linked to sleep is sleep paralysis, a condition where the mind awakens while the body remains immobilized in REM atonia, the paralysis that normally prevents us from physically acting out our dreams. During sleep paralysis, a person becomes aware but cannot move or speak, often accompanied by vivid hallucinations or sensations of pressure on the chest. Many describe feeling a presence in the room, seeing shadowy figures, or hearing indistinct whispers. These experiences can be terrifying and have inspired folklore across cultures, tales of demons, night spirits, or supernatural visitations. In reality, sleep paralysis is a natural but unsettling overlap of REM dreaming and wakefulness. The dream imagery bleeds into consciousness while the body remains locked in protective stillness. Understanding this phenomenon transforms fear into fascination, showing how thin the boundary between dreaming and waking truly is. Across all these variations, from napping monks and sleepless emperors to dreaming children and paralyzed dreamers, sleep emerges as a profound frontier of human experience. It is both ordinary and miraculous, scientific and spiritual, deeply personal yet universal. Within its cycles of darkness and light, it restores the body, refines the mind, and nourishes creativity. Whether brief or deep, restless or serene, every moment of sleep is a return to balance, to memory, to the quiet workshop of the brain where thought, emotion, and imagination are endlessly rebuilt. Though frightening, sleep paralysis is usually harmless, lasting seconds to minutes before the body fully awakens, yet in that brief window, the mind finds itself suspended between dreaming and wakefulness, where the boundary between imagination and reality becomes hauntingly thin. Those who experience it often describe a terrifying sense of being awake but utterly paralyzed, trapped within their body as dreamlike visions intrude into consciousness. Historically, this unsettling overlap between sleep and wakefulness inspired centuries of myths and superstitions. In medieval Europe, people believed that such nightmares were literal attacks by demons or witches sitting upon the sleeper's chest, suffocating them while filling their dreams with horror. The very word nightmare once referred not to a bad dream but to an evil spirit, the mare, that visited during the night. These ancient beliefs, though now replaced by neuroscience, were rooted in real experiences of sleep paralysis, when the body is immobilized during REM sleep while the mind partially wakes, creating a vivid illusion of external oppression. The sensation of being pinned down and unable to move naturally gave rise to stories of nocturnal demons and suffocating spirits. Similar myths appeared across cultures, from spirits that steal breath to shadowy figures that whisper into dreams. Though we now know nightmares stem from brain activity and emotional processing, the echoes of those old fears persist even in language. When someone today describes an experience as a nightmare, they mean something beyond bad. It implies helplessness, suffocation, and dread, an emotional residue of those early beliefs. As understanding evolved from superstition to psychology, humanity's interpretation of sleep transformed from being haunted by external forces to exploring the internal landscape of the mind. Yet, sleep still carries that air of mystery, a place where reason softens and imagination takes control. Sleepwalking, or somnambulism, is another phenomenon that reveals how fragile the barrier between wakefulness and sleep can be. Most common in children, affecting as many as 1 in 5 at some stage, it occurs when a person partially awakens from deep sleep, their body rising and moving while their mind remains locked in unconsciousness. Children may walk, talk, or even perform complex activities, their eyes open but their awareness absent, as if ghosts within their own homes. Parents often find the sight both eerie and fascinating, a reminder that the brain's mechanisms for keeping body and mind aligned are not yet fully mature in the young. Thankfully, as the nervous system develops, most children outgrow sleepwalking, though safety remains a concern during these episodes, since the unconscious wanderer may stumble, fall, or wander outside. Sleepwalking reminds us that sleep is not a static state. It is fluid, with layers that can overlap, allowing fragments of waking behavior to slip through into the dream realm. Even stranger are disorders like sleep-related eating, in which individuals unconsciously prepare and consume food while still asleep. Known as sleep-related eating disorder, SRED, it can lead to the sleeper cooking, raiding the refrigerator, or even consuming unsafe substances, sometimes with no memory of it the next morning. Like sleepwalking, it arises from partial arousals during deep sleep, when motor systems engage without full cognitive awareness. Those affected often feel distressed, both by the loss of control and by the consequences, injuries, kitchen fires, or unexpected weight gain. Neurologically, these behaviors are driven by automatic processes, not hunger or intent. The brain's circuits misfire, creating a strange split where instinct takes over and consciousness remains absent. It is as if a nocturnal self awakens within, performing actions that the daytime self must reckon with in confusion the next day. Another common yet fascinating nighttime behavior is sleep talking, or somniloquy. Occurring in any stage of sleep, from light dozing to deep slumber, it can range from faint mumbles to loud, coherent sentences. During deeper sleep, the words are often nonsensical, fragments of dreams bleeding into speech, while in lighter stages, sentences may be startlingly clear. Most people who talk in their sleep have no memory of it, leaving bed partners to witness these mysterious midnight conversations. Harmless in most cases, sleep talking demonstrates how active the sleeping brain remains, even when the conscious mind is off duty. Language centers can spontaneously fire, translating inner thoughts or dream fragments into speech. In a sense, sleep talking is like overhearing the unfinished musings of the subconscious, a fleeting whisper of the mind's nocturnal wanderings escaping into the air. Even more remarkable is sleep singing, a rare but documented phenomenon where sleepers hum, recite lyrics, or even sing entire songs while unconscious. Known as somniloquy with singing, it emerges from the same neural process as sleep talking, activation of language and vocal regions during partial arousals. Some sing softly, almost like murmured lullabies, while others perform startlingly loud and complex melodies. Recordings have captured individuals delivering recognizable tunes, though often in distorted or dreamlike ways. For those who witness it, the experience can be both eerie and enchanting, as if the sleeper's subconscious has momentarily taken the stage. This phenomenon highlights the brain's innate creativity. Even when stripped of conscious control, it continues to construct rhythm, melody, and expression. In its unguarded state, the mind may still find ways to make art, even in dreams. Interestingly, humans are not the only dreamers. Anyone who has watched a dog twitch in its sleep, paws jerking, whiskers quivering, muffled barks escaping, has glimpsed the mysterious dream life of animals. Scientific studies confirm that dogs experience REM sleep and show neural activity consistent with dreaming. Puppies twitch more than adult dogs, likely because their developing brains are practicing motor coordination. While we cannot ask them what they dream, evidence suggests they replay familiar daily experiences, chasing balls, running across fields, greeting their humans. Watching a sleeping dog paddle its paws, we can imagine it sprinting through dream meadows visible only to its own mind. The thought is comforting, even poetic, that animals, too, share in the secret theater of dreams. Rats, surprisingly, also dream, and their dreams have been scientifically mapped. In laboratory studies, rats trained to navigate mazes exhibit specific neural firing patterns as they move through each path. During sleep, those same patterns replay almost identically, as though the rats are rerunning the maze in their dreams. Sometimes the sequence plays faster or even backward, suggesting the brain is processing and reorganizing experiences, turning raw memory into refined understanding. This phenomenon offers strong evidence that sleep plays a crucial role in learning and memory. The rat's dream, in a sense, is its homework, a mental rehearsal of lessons learned that day. Humans, too, likely experience something similar. Our brains revisit moments, challenges, and emotions, integrating them into long-term memory. Dreaming, then, may not be mere fantasy but a vital mechanism for growth, learning, and emotional balance. And yet, when sleep falters, the consequences ripple through both mind and mood. Sleep loss affects emotion before intellect. Even one night of poor rest can heighten irritability, sadness, and stress. Brain imaging reveals why. Without sufficient sleep, the amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm center, becomes overactive, while the prefrontal cortex, the rational part responsible for judgment and impulse control, grows sluggish. This imbalance leaves us more reactive, less patient, and prone to exaggerated emotions. It's not that we immediately lose intelligence after a sleepless night, but rather that our emotional regulation deteriorates first, causing us to interpret situations more negatively. Over time, chronic sleep deprivation erodes focus, memory, and creativity, but the first signs appear in how we feel: short tempers, sudden tears, irrational frustration. This emotional unraveling illustrates how deeply sleep is tied to stability and mental clarity. Together, these glimpses into the strange world of sleep, paralysis, nightmares, sleepwalking, Sleep talking, singing, and dreaming reveal a landscape as complex as waking life. Sleep is not an empty pause but an active, dynamic state where the mind repairs, rehearses, and reimagines. It is the bridge between memory and learning, sanity and emotion, life and its nightly reflection. From ancient fears of demons to modern brain scans of dreaming rats, humanity's understanding of sleep has evolved immensely, yet its essence remains mysterious. Beneath closed eyelids, consciousness loosens its grip, allowing deeper forces to emerge: instincts, memories, creativity, and sometimes chaos. To sleep is to surrender, not to nothingness, but to another mode of being, one that shapes who we are when we wake. Sleep is far more than rest. It is a silent guardian of emotional stability and mental balance. When scientists say that sleep first protects our emotions before it safeguards logic, they mean that sleep acts as the invisible shield that softens life's sharp edges, keeping our feelings in harmony before reason even gets a chance to intervene. Without proper rest, the world itself begins to feel heavier. Small frustrations grow into storms, arguments become sharper, and patience thins. Sleep is not just a balm for the body, it is the foundation for calm, the nightly reset that allows the mind to quiet and the heart to steady. A sleep-deprived brain loses its balance, making even the brightest mind vulnerable to emotional upheaval. People often believe they can make up for lost sleep by sleeping in on weekends, but research shows that this is a myth. Lost sleep is never truly recovered, though an extra long rest might ease the fogginess. Certain processes, like memory consolidation, immune repair, and cellular renewal, can't be caught up on once missed. The body cannot store sleep for later use. Instead, it runs on delicate cycles that must be refreshed each night. Chronic sleep debt quietly accumulates, eroding attention, reaction time, creativity, and emotional control, even when we believe we are coping. It's much like starvation. Eating twice as much tomorrow cannot undo the hunger of yesterday. The only true cure for sleep loss is consistent, reliable rest, a steady rhythm that allows the body and mind to perform their nightly maintenance. A single long night of rest may feel luxurious, but it cannot replace the countless micro-repairs the body performs every evening along the way. Beyond emotional regulation, sleep also influences the body's metabolism and weight. Studies have shown that people who sleep less tend to weigh more, a relationship driven by hormonal imbalances and cravings. Sleep deprivation increases ghrelin, the hormone that triggers hunger, while lowering leptin, the hormone that signals fullness. This combination drives stronger appetites and weaker satisfaction after eating, making it harder to resist high-calorie foods. The sleep-deprived brain craves sugar and fats, seeking quick bursts of energy to stay awake, and this pattern easily leads to overeating, weight gain, and difficulty maintaining a healthy metabolism. Lack of sleep can even slow metabolic rate, meaning the body burns calories more sluggishly. Weight, then, is not just about diet and exercise, it is also about rest. Sleep quietly regulates the background of physical health, shaping everything from appetite to energy balance. To maintain a healthy body, sleep must be treated with the same respect as nutrition itself, an invisible but powerful influence that tips the scales with every lost hour. Yet for millions, sleep does not come easily. Insomnia, one of the most common sleep disorders in the world, touches up to 1/3 of adults at some point in life. Some struggle to fall asleep, others to stay asleep, and still others wake far too early. For many, it's temporary, a product of stress, loss, or lifestyle disruption. But for others, insomnia becomes chronic, stretching into months or years, draining energy, focus, and emotional well-being. The cruel paradox of insomnia is that the harder one tries to sleep, the less likely it becomes. Anxiety about sleeplessness feeds itself, creating a loop where the fear of not sleeping becomes the very thing that prevents rest. Treatments include cognitive behavioral therapy, relaxation techniques, and carefully monitored medication, but insomnia remains a frontier in science, where biology, psychology, and environment collide in silence. Interestingly, women are more likely to experience insomnia than men. Across studies and cultures, this gender divide is clear. Hormonal changes play a major role. Fluctuations during menstrual cycles, pregnancy, and menopause all affect sleep patterns, making rest more fragile at certain times of life. Women are also statistically more prone to anxiety and depression, both of which disrupt sleep, and social factors amplify the problem. Caregiving duties, stress from work and home, and societal pressures often cut into rest. The result is a quiet but persistent inequality in the quality of sleep women receive. Curiously, despite reporting more insomnia, women sometimes show fewer severe long-term health effects compared to men, suggesting biological differences in resilience. Still, the burden is undeniable. Night after night, countless women lie awake, caught between the biological and social factors that conspire to steal their rest. This gender gap in sleep serves as a subtle reminder that even something as universal as rest is shaped by the structures of life and society. Sleep also resists easy measurement. Humanity has celebrated records for sleeplessness, like Randy Gardner's 11-day wakefulness experiment. But curiously, no one has ever officially recorded the world's longest nap. Sleep is difficult enough to define, but naps complicate the matter further. Is a 10-hour nap just a short night's sleep? Does a coma count? Because of such ambiguity, no governing body tracks nap durations the way it does sleepless records. Yet stories abound. Commuters who fall asleep on trains and wake hours later in distant cities, people who drift through entire afternoons into night. Naps, perhaps, are unmeasurable because they are personal, unplanned acts of surrender. A nap is not about endurance but release. It is too quiet, too intimate to compete in statistics. That very elusiveness gives naps their magic. They are secret gifts of time, moments of peace that belong entirely to the sleeper. Not everyone needs the same amount of sleep. A rare group of individuals known as short sleepers thrive on only 4 to 6 hours of sleep each night without showing signs of fatigue or cognitive decline. Unlike most people who would suffer under such restriction, these individuals seem genetically wired for sleep efficiency. Studies have identified mutations in genes such as December 2nd and ADRB1 that alter how the brain regulates sleep need. Short sleepers wake feeling refreshed, alert, and full of energy, as though their bodies compress the entire process of restoration into fewer hours. Their rarity makes them fascinating subjects of study, living proof that sleep needs are not identical across humanity. Yet even for them, rest remains essential. It is simply shorter. These people show us that biology can bend its rules, though never completely break them. For most of us, trying to imitate short sleepers leads only to exhaustion and decline, but for the lucky few, it's just how they are built. What's most remarkable about true short sleepers is how normal their lives appear. They hold jobs, raise families, and pursue hobbies without apparent strain. Many describe having extra hours in their day, a hidden gift of time that others never experience. Some use this extra time for creativity, study, or personal projects, while others simply enjoy more waking life. Despite their reduced sleep, studies show they suffer no consistent health issues or shorten lifespans. Some even suggest short sleepers age more gracefully, their bodies somehow adapting to this efficient rhythm. However, this natural trait is distinct from chronic sleep deprivation, which harms almost everyone. Short sleepers don't fight fatigue, they never feel it. Their existence underscores the diversity of human biology, illustrating how something as universal as sleep can bend into rare, extraordinary forms. If some people sleep less than average, others struggle to stay awake at all. Narcolepsy is a neurological disorder that disrupts the brain's regulation of sleep and wakefulness, causing individuals to suddenly and uncontrollably fall asleep during the day, even in the middle of conversations, meals, or work. These episodes, called sleep attacks, strike without warning and can be deeply disruptive to daily life. Narcolepsy is also associated with cataplexy, a sudden loss of muscle tone triggered by strong emotions such as laughter, excitement, or surprise, which can cause the person to collapse while remaining conscious. The condition stems from dysfunction in the brain's production of hypocretin, a neurochemical that stabilizes wakefulness. Without it, the delicate balance between sleep and wake blurs, making life unpredictable and exhausting. Treatments exist. stimulants to promote wakefulness, and medications to reduce cataplexy. But there is still no permanent cure. Narcolepsy reminds us that sleep is not a passive act but an active neurological process. It must be carefully orchestrated by the brain's chemistry, and when that system falters, sleep can intrude upon wakefulness like an unstoppable tide. One of narcolepsy's strangest features is how quickly dreams arrive. In most people, it takes about 90 minutes to enter REM sleep, the stage where vivid dreaming occurs. But those with narcolepsy can fall into REM within minutes, or even transition directly from wakefulness into a dream. This means dreams and reality can overlap, creating hallucinations so vivid they feel indistinguishable from waking life. A person might close their eyes and instantly find themselves in a dreamscape, while still partially aware of the real world, a disorienting blur of consciousness and imagination. These dream-onset experiences reveal how fragile the boundary between waking and dreaming truly is. For narcoleptics, that boundary can vanish entirely, leaving them caught between two worlds that most of us only glimpse in fleeting moments before sleep. In the end, all these phenomena, from emotional balance and insomnia to metabolic control, naps, genetic quirks, and disorders like narcolepsy, remind us that sleep is not a luxury but a cornerstone of life. It is a complex biological symphony involving hormones, memory, emotion, and energy, a rhythm that must be tuned and respected. Sleep sustains creativity, strengthens learning, and heals both body and mind. To lose it is to lose harmony. To restore it is to return to equilibrium. Whether we dream instantly, sleep only a few hours, or nap in secret moments between tasks, each of us depends on this nightly transformation to remain whole. In a sleepless world that glorifies productivity, sleep stands as the quiet rebellion, a reminder that true power lies not in staying awake, but in surrendering completely to rest. These experiences can be deeply disorienting, often blurring the delicate line between what is real and what is imagined, between waking life and dreaming consciousness. For people living with narcolepsy, this overlap reveals how fragile the boundaries of awareness truly are. Dreams are never far away, they hover constantly at the edge of perception, waiting for a lapse in the brain's defenses to spill through. While most of us experience a firm divide between the dream world and waking reality, for those with narcolepsy that barrier is paper-thin, leading to moments where imagination feels as tangible as the physical world. Another strange and fascinating disorder that illustrates the thin veil between dream and reality is REM sleep behavior disorder, a condition in which the usual paralysis that protects the body during dreaming fails to engage. In healthy sleep, the body becomes effectively immobile during REM so that the dreamer does not physically act out their dreams. But in this disorder, that crucial safeguard collapses. People may shout, punch, kick, or even leap from their beds as if fully immersed in the dream's events. These episodes can be intense or even dangerous, with the dreamer fighting unseen attackers or fleeing imaginary threats, sometimes injuring themselves or a bed partner in the process. Scientists have found this condition to be more than just a quirk of sleep. It is often an early warning sign of neurological diseases such as Parkinson's, sometimes appearing years before other symptoms. Thus, REM sleep behavior disorder is both a window into the vividness of dreaming and a clinical clue to deeper changes in the brain. Another common but serious sleep disorder is sleep apnea, in which breathing repeatedly stops and starts throughout the night. The most prevalent form, obstructive sleep apnea, occurs when the airway collapses or becomes blocked, cutting off airflow for several seconds at a time. The brain, sensing this lack of oxygen, jolts the body awake just long enough to resume breathing, often hundreds of times per night. These brief awakenings fragment sleep, preventing deep rest and leaving sufferers exhausted even after spending long hours in bed. The consequences can be severe. Sleep apnea is linked to heart disease, high blood pressure, and stroke, as the constant strain disrupts normal cardiovascular function. Fortunately, treatments such as CPAP machines, which keep airways open using steady air pressure, can dramatically improve both sleep quality and overall health. Yet the condition remains a sobering reminder of how fragile the act of breathing can become during sleep. Even something as automatic and vital as respiration requires delicate coordination that, when disrupted, transforms rest into a nightly struggle for air. Snoring, though often treated as a joke, can also signal sleep disturbances. Caused by vibrating tissues in the throat and nasal passages, snoring can reach astonishing volumes, sometimes exceeding 80 decibels, comparable to a city street or vacuum cleaner. While mild snoring is typically harmless, chronic snoring may indicate underlying issues like sleep apnea. It also poses a social problem, disrupting partners' rest and occasionally forcing couples into separate rooms. Despite the humor often attached to snoring, it reveals another paradox of sleep, that something meant to be silent and peaceful can become unexpectedly loud and intrusive. Yet snoring connects us to the animal world as well. Elephants, for instance, also snore. In captivity and in the wild, recordings have captured their deep, rumbling snores as they rest, a sound likened to distant thunder. These massive creatures sleep only a few hours per day, but when they do, their snores resonate powerfully, as if the earth itself is breathing with them. The fact that such majestic animals snore reminds us that rest, with all its quirks, is universal across species. The quality of sleep is not shaped by internal biology alone. Light and darkness play an enormous role in regulating the body's circadian rhythm. Total darkness at night signals the release of melatonin, the hormone responsible for inducing sleepiness, while exposure to artificial light, whether from street lamps, phone screens, or alarm clocks, can suppress melatonin production and disturb sleep cycles. Even small amounts of light leaking into a room can prevent deep rest, leading to insomnia, mood disorders, and metabolic imbalances over time. That is why experts recommend creating dark, quiet environments for sleep, using blackout curtains, dimming screens, and minimizing electronic glow. True darkness allows the body to realign with ancient rhythms of night and day, reconnecting us with the planet's natural cycles. Yet in the modern world, light pollution has become almost inescapable, subtly stealing the depth of rest from millions of people. Among artificial lights, blue light from screens is particularly disruptive. It tricks the brain into believing it is still daytime, suppressing melatonin and pushing the body's internal clock later into the night. This can make falling asleep difficult, shorten total rest, and degrade its quality by increasing nighttime awakenings. Studies consistently show that evening exposure to blue light leads to fatigue, insomnia, and next-day grogginess. Our evolutionary biology simply wasn't designed for glowing rectangles inches from our faces. It evolved under firelight, moonlight, and stars. The mismatch between this ancient biology and our modern technological habits creates one of the greatest sleep challenges of the digital age. The key to overcoming it lies in remembering that light is not neutral. It is a signal to the brain, a message saying, "Stay awake." At night, that message should be silence, darkness, and the gentle invitation to dream. In regions near the poles, the relationship between light and sleep grows even more extreme. Residents of the Arctic and Antarctic experience months of unbroken daylight followed by months of almost total darkness. Yet they adapt, finding ways to regulate their sleep despite the absence of a predictable sun. During endless summers, blackout curtains and artificial routines simulate night, while in the long winters, bright lamps that mimic daylight help maintain wakefulness and mood. These adaptations reveal the incredible flexibility of human biology and culture. People in such environments rely not only on biological cues but also on social habits, traditions, and technology to maintain balance. Sleep in these regions becomes not just a biological necessity but a cultural practice, a learned rhythm that reflects humanity's capacity to find order even when nature itself loses its boundaries. When humans move rapidly across time zones, another disruption occurs: jet lag, a modern example of our biological clock's dependence on light. Jet lag arises when the body's internal rhythm falls out of sync with the new local time, leading to fatigue, irritability, insomnia, and even digestive issues. It can take roughly a day per time zone crossed for the body to fully adjust, though exposure to morning sunlight and avoiding bright light at night can help reset the clock more quickly. For astronauts, the challenge is even greater. Aboard the International Space Station, they witness 16 sunrises and sunsets every 24 hours, forcing them to rely entirely on scheduled lighting to maintain their sleep-wake cycle. Their experience demonstrates how deeply our rest depends on the predictable alternation of light and dark, a rhythm that space travel itself disrupts. In orbit, sleep takes on surreal qualities. Without gravity, astronauts cannot lie down, so they strap themselves into sleeping bags attached to walls or ceilings to prevent drifting through the cabin. There is no true up or down, only floating stillness. Yet despite the strangeness, the human need for rest persists. Even among the stars, far from the rhythms of Earth, the body insists on its nightly restoration, guided not by sunrise but by internal cues and artificial cycles. It is a testament to the resilience and adaptability of the human organism that, even in space, sleep remains essential, a reminder that no matter how far we travel, we are still bound by the ancient biological need to dream. Thus, across disorders and species, from Earth's poles to the vacuum of orbit, the story of sleep reveals a delicate balance between biology, environment, and experience. Whether it's the vivid dreams of narcolepsy, the violent enactments of REM sleep behavior disorder, the suffocating interruptions of sleep apnea, or the gentle rumble of an elephant's snore, sleep manifests in endlessly diverse ways. Yet beneath these variations lies a universal truth: rest is fundamental to life. It renews the mind, repairs the body, and restores emotional equilibrium. Light, darkness, air, and gravity all conspire to shape it, but the need itself is unchanging. Even in the quietest or most chaotic corners of existence, from bustling cities to silent jungles, from the deepest night to the brightest day, sleep remains our oldest, most profound connection to the rhythm of being alive. In space, sleep takes on forms that are almost alien to our earthbound experience. Astronauts cannot simply lie down. There is no down in microgravity. Instead, they sleep in small cocoon-like bags attached to the walls of their spacecraft, their bodies fully supported, floating weightlessly, free from pressure points but also untethered from familiar sensations of rest. While this might seem restful, astronauts report that sleeping in space is surprisingly difficult. The constant hum of machinery, extreme temperature fluctuations, disorienting lack of gravity, and the rapid succession of 16 sunrises and sunsets each day aboard the International Space Station disrupt circadian rhythms and fragment sleep. Dreams in space are often strange, influenced by the weightless environment, yet rest remains essential, as fatigue can compromise critical missions. Sleeping tethered to a wall in orbit is the ultimate reminder that even among the stars, the body insists on its nightly ritual. Sleep is a companion we carry wherever we travel. The absence of gravity removes the grounding that beds provide on Earth, making sleep lighter and more easily disrupted. Noise from life support systems, mechanical whirs, and fluctuating light conditions further complicate rest, shortening REM cycles and producing a shadow of constant fatigue that astronauts must carefully manage to avoid errors. Space strips sleep to its raw essentials, revealing how dependent our rest is on gravity, darkness, and silence. Yet sleep, in all its forms, is porous and influenced by the world around us. External sounds seep into dreams, reshaping their landscapes. A ringing phone may transform into a church bell, the patter of rain into a storm-walking adventure. Researchers exploit this phenomenon through experiments called targeted memory reactivation, where subtle sounds associated with learning during the day are played during sleep, strengthening those memories as if rehearsing them. Many people experience this naturally, hearing an alarm or a partner's voice weave into dream scenarios, demonstrating that sleep is not complete separation but a conversation between consciousness and external reality. Some individuals take this interaction further through lucid dreaming, the conscious recognition and control of dreams. Techniques such as reality checks, dream journaling, and mindful awareness during the day train the brain to recognize dream signs, allowing dreamers to manipulate their environments, flying, exploring imaginary worlds, or solving problems. Scientific studies confirm lucid dreaming's reality, showing dreamers can communicate with researchers via prearranged eye movement patterns while asleep. Beyond novelty, lucid dreaming has therapeutic applications, from confronting nightmares to skill rehearsal and creative exploration, revealing sleep not as passive surrender but as a frontier of consciousness to navigate. Dreams are fleeting, however. Most people forget up to 90% of their dream content within minutes of waking, due to the low levels of neurotransmitters such as norepinephrine during sleep that are essential for memory consolidation. Dream journaling dramatically improves recall, training the brain to value dreams and strengthen memory pathways. With consistent practice, dreams become more vivid and detailed, recurring motifs and themes emerge, and the mind's nighttime stories transform into a personal mythology. This practice turns the ephemeral into something tangible, allowing dreamers to revisit and reflect on the subconscious narratives their brains create nightly. Dreams are not only sources of personal insight but also catalysts for creativity and problem solving. Historically, many discoveries and works of art have been seeded in dreams. Chemist Auguste Kekulé famously dreamed of a snake biting its own tail, inspiring the ring structure of benzene. Musicians, writers, and inventors alike have awakened with solutions that eluded them while awake, as the brain, freed from waking logic, recombines fragments in novel ways. The phrase, "sleep on it," captures this enduring phenomenon. Even minor problems may untangle overnight, with answers appearing as if by magic. Paul McCartney of the Beatles famously awoke with the melody for "Yesterday" fully formed, initially uncertain whether it was a memory or original inspiration, and Mary Shelley dreamed the scene that inspired her novel Frankenstein, blending horror and imagination in a liminal space between sleep and consciousness. Dreams, then, are a theater for human innovation, creativity, and reflection, offering glimpses into ideas that cannot emerge in the waking mind, bridging personal insight and cultural impact. The influence of the external world continues in sleep through light and darkness, fundamental regulators of circadian rhythm. Total darkness signals the body to produce melatonin, promoting sleepiness, while artificial light, street lamps, phone screens, glowing alarm clocks, can suppress melatonin and disrupt sleep cycles. Even small amounts of light at night increase rates of insomnia, fatigue, and metabolic issues. Blue light, in particular, delays sleep onset and shortens total rest by signaling the brain that it is still daytime. Evolutionarily, humans are adapted to firelight, moonlight, and stars, not the glaring artificial sources prevalent today. The mismatch between biology and modern technology creates one of the most pervasive sleep challenges, necessitating blackout curtains, dimmed electronics, and careful management of nocturnal light exposure to restore alignment with ancient rhythms of night and day. In extreme environments, such as polar regions with months of uninterrupted daylight or darkness, humans adapt culturally and biologically. Blackout curtains, simulated daylight, and routines become tools to maintain circadian alignment, demonstrating both the flexibility and fragility of human sleep. Similarly, jet lag arises when rapid travel across time zones disrupts the internal clock, causing fatigue, insomnia, irritability, and digestive issues, while astronauts face even more extreme challenges with 16 sunrises and sunsets each day, relying on artificial cues to maintain their sleep-wake cycles. Sleep is deeply tied to light and darkness. Even when the environment is alien, the brain clings to these ancient signals to anchor rest. Across species, sleep is equally varied and essential. REM sleep behavior disorder in humans illustrates how vividly the body can enact dreams when the usual paralysis fails, sometimes years before neurological conditions like Parkinson's emerge. Sleep apnea, another disorder, demonstrates the fragility of breathing during rest, where repeated interruptions in airflow fragment sleep and threaten cardiovascular health. Snoring, a seemingly benign phenomenon, can reach alarming volumes and signal deeper issues, while elephants' rumbling snores remind us that sleep, and its idiosyncrasies, transcends humans, uniting life through the universality of rest. Short sleepers, a rare genetic subset of humans, thrive on 4 to 6 hours per night without apparent ill effects, showing the diversity of biological sleep needs, while narcoleptics experience sudden, uncontrollable sleep attacks, further emphasizing the delicate orchestration required to regulate consciousness and rest. In space, sleep takes on forms that are almost alien to our earthbound experience. Astronauts cannot simply lie down. There is no down in microgravity. Instead, they sleep in small cocoon-like bags attached to the walls of their spacecraft, their bodies fully supported, floating weightlessly, free from pressure points but also untethered from familiar sensations of rest. While this might seem restful, astronauts report that sleeping in space is surprisingly difficult. The constant hum of machinery, extreme temperature fluctuations, disorienting lack of gravity, and the rapid succession of 16 sunrises and sunsets each day aboard the International Space Station disrupt circadian rhythms and fragment sleep. Dreams in space are often strange, influenced by the weightless environment, yet rest remains essential, as fatigue can compromise critical missions. Sleeping tethered to a wall in orbit is the ultimate reminder that even among the stars, the body insists on its nightly ritual. Sleep is a companion we carry wherever we travel. The absence of gravity removes the grounding that beds provide on Earth, making sleep lighter and more easily disrupted. Noise from life support systems, mechanical whirs, and fluctuating light conditions further complicate rest, shortening REM cycles and producing a shadow of constant fatigue that astronauts must carefully manage to avoid errors. Space strips sleep to its raw essentials, revealing how dependent our rest is on gravity, darkness, and silence. Yet sleep, in all its forms, is porous and influenced by the world around us. External sounds seep into dreams, reshaping their landscapes. A ringing phone may transform into a church bell, the patter of rain into a storm-walking adventure. Researchers exploit this phenomenon through experiments called targeted memory reactivation, where subtle sounds associated with learning during the day are played during sleep, strengthening those memories as if rehearsing them. Many people experience this naturally, hearing an alarm or a partner's voice weave into dream scenarios, demonstrating that sleep is not complete separation but a conversation between consciousness and external reality. Some individuals take this interaction further through lucid dreaming, the conscious recognition and control of dreams. Techniques such as reality checks, dream journaling, and mindful awareness during the day train the brain to recognize dream signs, allowing dreamers to manipulate their environments, flying, exploring imaginary worlds, or solving problems. Scientific studies confirm lucid dreaming's reality, showing dreamers can communicate with researchers via prearranged eye movement patterns while asleep. Beyond novelty, lucid dreaming has therapeutic applications, from confronting nightmares to skill rehearsal and creative exploration, revealing sleep not as passive surrender but as a frontier of consciousness to navigate. Dreams are fleeting, however. Most people forget up to 90% of their dream content within minutes of waking, due to the low levels of neurotransmitters such as norepinephrine during sleep that are essential for memory consolidation. Dream journaling dramatically improves recall, training the brain to value dreams and strengthen memory pathways. With consistent practice, dreams become more vivid and detailed, recurring motifs and themes emerge, and the mind's nighttime stories transform into a personal mythology. This practice turns the ephemeral into something tangible, allowing dreamers to revisit and reflect on the subconscious narratives their brains create nightly. Dreams are not only sources of personal insight but also catalysts for creativity and problem-solving. Historically, many discoveries and works of art have been seeded in dreams. Chemist Auguste Kekulé famously dreamed of a snake biting its own tail, inspiring the ring structure of benzene. Musicians, writers, and inventors alike have awakened with solutions that eluded them while awake, as the brain, freed from waking logic, recombines fragments in novel ways. The phrase, "sleep on it," captures this enduring phenomenon. Even minor problems may untangle overnight, with answers appearing as if by magic. Paul McCartney of the Beatles famously awoke with the melody for "Yesterday" fully formed, initially uncertain whether it was a memory or original inspiration, and Mary Shelley dreamed the scene that inspired her novel Frankenstein, blending horror and imagination in a liminal space between sleep and consciousness. Dreams, then, are a theater for human innovation, creativity, and reflection, offering glimpses into ideas that cannot emerge in the waking mind, bridging personal insight and cultural impact. The influence of the external world continues in sleep through light and darkness, fundamental regulators of circadian rhythm. Total darkness signals the body to produce melatonin, promoting sleepiness, while artificial light, street lamps, phone screens, glowing alarm clocks, can suppress melatonin and disrupt sleep cycles. Even small amounts of light at night increase rates of insomnia, fatigue, and metabolic issues. Blue light, in particular, delays sleep onset and shortens total rest by signaling the brain that it is still daytime. Evolutionarily, humans are adapted to firelight, moonlight, and stars, not the glaring artificial sources prevalent today. The mismatch between biology and modern technology creates one of the most pervasive sleep challenges, necessitating blackout curtains, dimmed electronics, and careful management of nocturnal light exposure to restore alignment with ancient rhythms of night and day. In extreme environments, such as polar regions with months of uninterrupted daylight or darkness, humans adapt culturally and biologically. Blackout curtains, simulated daylight, and routines become tools to maintain circadian alignment, demonstrating both the flexibility and fragility of human sleep. Similarly, jet lag arises when rapid travel across time zones disrupts the internal clock, causing fatigue, insomnia, irritability, and digestive issues, while astronauts face even more extreme challenges with 16 sunrises and sunsets each day, relying on artificial cues to maintain their sleep-wake cycles. Sleep is deeply tied to light and darkness. Even when the environment is alien, the brain clings to these ancient signals to anchor rest. Across species, sleep is equally varied and essential. REM sleep behavior disorder in humans illustrates how vividly the body can enact dreams when the usual paralysis fails, sometimes years before neurological conditions like Parkinson's emerge. Sleep apnea, another disorder, demonstrates the fragility of breathing during rest, where repeated interruptions in airflow fragment sleep and threaten cardiovascular health. Snoring, a seemingly benign phenomenon, can reach alarming volumes and signal deeper issues, while elephants' rumbling snores remind us that sleep, and its idiosyncrasies, transcends humans, uniting life through the universality of rest. Short sleepers, a rare genetic subset of humans, thrive on 4 to 6 hours per night without apparent ill effects, showing the diversity of biological sleep needs, while narcoleptics experience sudden, uncontrollable sleep attacks, further emphasizing the delicate orchestration required to regulate consciousness and rest. Ultimately, sleep in all its forms, from fragmented naps on Earth to floating repose in orbit, from ordinary dreams to lucid exploration, from quiet physiological restoration to problem-solving creativity, is a fundamental human experience shaped by biology, environment, culture, and technology. It renews the mind, repairs the body, balances emotions, and nurtures imagination. Whether under gravity's gentle pull or floating weightlessly in space, whether in darkness or amidst artificial light, sleep remains an essential, universal rhythm. It connects species, generations, and civilizations, guiding life through cycles of wakefulness and rest, a profound testament to the resilience, adaptability, and creativity of life itself, and a reminder that even in the most alien environments, sleep, and the dreams it brings, remains our constant companion. Shelley's story, along with countless other historical examples, reminds us that dreams are not idle illusions or mere entertainment. They are powerful agents of creativity, insight, and human progress, shaping art, science, literature, and the way we interpret the world across generations. Dreams enhance brain function by strengthening connections between seemingly unrelated ideas, promoting flexibility and originality. And studies consistently show that people who nap or dream perform better on creative problem-solving tasks than those who remain awake. During sleep, memories are not merely preserved, they are reconfigured, shuffled, and recombined, allowing the mind to discover novel links, analogies, and metaphors that conscious thought alone cannot access. This process explains why artists, scientists, and musicians have long described sleep as fertile ground for inspiration, and neuroscience confirms that dreaming primes the brain for innovation even if it does not produce fully formed works directly. By loosening the rigid grip of waking logic, dreams create a twilight state where imagination can flourish and the mind awakens refreshed, not only restored but renewed, ready to perceive the world in new ways. Beyond creativity, sleep is fundamental to emotional regulation. Deprivation leads to irritability, anxiety, and impaired resilience, as the amygdala, responsible for processing fear and anger, becomes hyperactive while the prefrontal cortex, which normally regulates these emotions, loses influence. In effect, sleep deprivation removes the brain's emotional governor, leaving feelings jagged, raw, and untempered, which explains why insomnia intensifies depression or anxiety, and why a night of good sleep can feel like an emotional reset. REM sleep, in particular, functions as a stabilizer, integrating and softening emotional experiences so that, in its absence, frustrations sharpen and aggression increases. Studies across species show that lack of sleep consistently heightens aggression. Humans deprived of rest are quicker to anger, less patient, and more prone to conflict, while animals exhibit exaggerated territorial and defensive behaviors. Sleep thus serves as a form of emotional medicine, preventing the mind from becoming brittle and volatile under daily pressures. Extended sleep deprivation also produces hallucinations, revealing the brain's desperate need for dreaming. After only 72 hours without sleep, individuals commonly experience vivid visual and auditory distortions, phantom voices, flashing lights, and strange figures intruding into waking perception, illustrating how the mind projects dreamlike imagery into reality when deprived of rest. These phenomena underscore that sleep is not optional. It anchors consciousness and stabilizes perception, without which reality itself begins to unravel. Ancient civilizations, including Rome, intuitively recognized sleep's restorative power, prescribing extended rest for fevers, injuries, emotional imbalance, and even digestive complaints, observing that patients who slept recovered more quickly, long before the tools of neuroscience existed. Similarly, many ancient cultures, from Mesopotamia to Egypt to Greece, regarded dreams as divine messages, consulting interpreters for guidance or prophetic insight, and temples of healing, such as those dedicated to Asclepius in Greece, housed supplicants hoping to receive curative visions during sleep, reflecting a belief that dreams offered truth and wisdom beyond waking life. Modern science reframes these experiences through psychology and neuroscience, but the sense of sacredness and meaning in dreams persists, bridging intuition, spirituality, and cognitive function. Beyond art, culture, and emotional stability, sleep is essential for learning and skill acquisition. Practicing skills while awake is insufficient alone. The consolidation of new knowledge occurs during sleep, particularly during deep slow-wave stages, when neural pathways are reinforced, patterns replayed, and new information integrated with prior knowledge. Musicians who rehearse melodies, athletes refining movements, and students memorizing facts all perform better after sleep than after equivalent waking practice, because the mind continues to refine and strengthen connections while the body rests. Sleep is thus the hidden teacher, the quiet coach, the unseen partner in every act of mastery, enabling the brain to convert effort into skill, understanding, and expertise. For infants, sleep plays a crucial role in the extraordinary task of language acquisition, allowing the developing brain to absorb and process complex patterns of sound, grammar, and meaning in ways impossible during wakefulness, highlighting sleep's foundational role in human growth and learning. Sleep's contributions extend to cognitive performance more broadly. It stabilizes memory, improves attention, enhances problem-solving abilities, and supports executive function. Lack of sleep impairs judgment, increases reaction times, and diminishes mental flexibility, emphasizing that rest is integral not only to physical health but also to intellectual performance. The creative and restorative functions of sleep are intimately tied to cycles of REM and non-REM stages, each contributing distinct benefits. REM sleep fosters dreaming, emotional integration, and associative thinking, while slow-wave sleep consolidates declarative memories, strengthens synaptic connections, and supports cellular repair. The orchestration of these stages ensures that the brain emerges from slumber equipped to navigate both complex cognitive tasks and emotional challenges, revealing the intricate interplay between rest, consciousness, and functionality. Sleep's impact on human performance, emotion, and innovation underscores its role as both a biological necessity and a cultural cornerstone, as societies across time have recognized its healing, instructive, and revelatory capacities. From the haunting visions of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, to the spontaneous musical composition of Paul McCartney's Yesterday, sleep demonstrates its power to unlock latent creativity, forge new connections, and inspire works that endure across centuries. The neurological and physiological mechanisms underlying these processes, neurotransmitter modulation, synaptic plasticity, emotional recalibration, memory consolidation, and associative integration, offer a glimpse into sleep's remarkable complexity, revealing a system finely tuned to support cognitive, emotional, and physical well-being. In sum, sleep is far more than passive inactivity. It is an active, dynamic, and indispensable process that enables the brain and body to restore, integrate, and innovate. It stabilizes emotions, reinforces learning, sharpens creativity, and sustains health. Across species, environments, and historical epochs, sleep remains a universal anchor of life, a frontier of consciousness, and a silent yet potent partner in the ongoing development of human potential, a reminder that surrendering to rest is not weakness but an essential act of engagement with the mind's deepest capacities, a ritual through which imagination, insight, resilience, and mastery are nurtured, and through which the mysterious, ineffable power of dreams continues to shape both individual experience and collective culture for generations. During rest, babies' brains actively replay the sounds and patterns they hear while awake, reinforcing neural circuits that link speech to meaning, and studies show that infants who nap after hearing new words are better at recognizing them later, demonstrating that sleep is not merely passive downtime but a critical process that integrates auditory input into memory and language development, effectively allowing babies to practice language in their dreams even before they can speak. The sheer volume of information absorbed daily makes sleep essential, because without it their developing brains would be overwhelmed, and what parents often perceive as rapid language acquisition is in large part invisible work happening during the night, where sleep functions as a constructive process, laying the foundation for the most human of abilities, language itself. Adolescents, whose growing bodies and brains require more rest, similarly benefit academically and emotionally from adequate sleep, contrary to stereotypes of teenage laziness. Studies consistently show that teens who obtain sufficient sleep achieve higher grades, improved attention, stronger memory, and enhanced emotional regulation, enabling them to better cope with stress and social challenges. Early school start times, however, often deprive them of this vital resource, causing widespread sleep deprivation with immediate negative consequences on mood, attendance, and even driving safety, whereas later start times allow them to thrive, underscoring that sleep is not indulgence but fuel for a developing mind. Sleep is equally critical for athletes, functioning as a silent, powerful coach working in the background to repair muscles, replenish energy stores, strengthen coordination, and consolidate motor learning, with REM sleep playing a key role in refining skills practiced during the day. Research shows that extending sleep improves speed, accuracy, endurance, reaction times, reduces injury risk, and accelerates recovery, which is why professional teams monitor and prioritize rest as part of training regimens, and why Olympians and elite athletes strategically nap to sharpen alertness and maintain mental focus, sometimes even timing naps to avoid deep sleep and grogginess, illustrating that victories on the field often depend on the unseen hours of rebuilding during sleep. Beyond physical performance, sleep is a critical mental tool, as elite chess players and other high-stakes competitors use naps to restore cognitive function, reduce errors, and enhance memory recall, demonstrating that sleep is not mere inactivity but a strategic resource that enables problem-solving, creativity, and sustained mental clarity, allowing individuals to approach challenges with renewed focus and flexibility. Sleep is also a matter of survival, particularly for long-distance truck drivers and other professionals whose vigilance is essential, as drowsy driving impairs reaction time, blurs judgment, and dramatically increases accident risk. Even short naps of 20 to 30 minutes can restore alertness and reduce errors, and many countries mandate rest periods to ensure safety, emphasizing that sleep functions as a form of protective equipment. Cultural practices such as the siesta in Mediterranean and Latin cultures exemplify the adaptive benefits of napping, rooted in historical necessity during the hottest hours of the day and aligned with natural circadian rhythms, providing evidence that human biology naturally inclines toward biphasic sleep patterns, with 2 daily windows of sleepiness, one at night and another in the early afternoon. These midday dips are biologically driven, not merely the effect of lunch, and honoring them with short naps improves memory, mood, and alertness, revealing that humans are rhythmically oriented creatures whose efficiency and well-being benefit from alignment with natural cycles. Historical and anthropological records suggest that humans were naturally biphasic sleepers, engaging in a first sleep and a second sleep separated by an interval of quiet wakefulness around midnight, during which people prayed, reflected, or conversed before returning to bed, highlighting that the modern assumption of a single consolidated night of sleep is relatively recent, and that our biology is wired for segmented rest that balances periods of wakefulness with restorative sleep. Across all ages, sleep is indispensable not only for growth, cognitive development, and skill acquisition but also for emotional stability, problem-solving, creativity, and survival. It is during sleep that the brain consolidates learning, integrates emotional experiences, repairs the body, and primes imagination, making sleep a multifaceted process that underpins physical, mental, and social functioning. From the earliest stages of infancy, when sleep supports language acquisition and neural development through adolescence, when adequate rest enhances academic performance and emotional regulation, to adulthood and professional life, where sleep determines cognitive sharpness, athletic prowess, and safety, the role of sleep is central and non-negotiable. Napping and respecting natural circadian dips align with an evolutionarily designed rhythm, while strategic sleep interventions in sports, education, and occupational settings demonstrate its measurable impact on performance, mood, and resilience. Ultimately, sleep is a dynamic, biologically essential, and culturally embedded process that sustains life, sharpens the mind, regulates emotions, consolidates memory, nurtures creativity, and preserves physical health, revealing that our most productive, imaginative, and balanced selves are inextricably tied to the quality, quantity, and timing of rest, making sleep one of the most powerful yet often underestimated tools for human development, well-being, and achievement. The industrial age compressed natural sleep patterns into a single block to match rigid schedules, yet the body's inherent dips at night and in the afternoon hint at our ancestral rhythm, suggesting that what we now call insomnia may sometimes be biology remembering its natural cadence. Humans are likely not built for one unbroken stretch of sleep, but for a life of pauses and returns, rest braided into the day. As historical evidence shows that before artificial light, our ancestors typically slept in two long shifts, often called first and second sleep, with a waking period around midnight used for prayer, reflection, socializing, or even conception, considered perfectly normal at the time, while artificial lighting gradually disrupted this rhythm, pushing bedtime later and compressing rest into a single block. Though experiments in environments without electricity reveal that many people naturally revert to biphasic sleep, indicating that each segment of rest may serve distinct functions, perhaps with the first sleep restoring the body and the second deepening dreams, challenging the modern notion that continuous night sleep is natural and revealing that human sleep has always been flexible, shaped by cycles of sun and firelight. Dreams themselves often reflect waking life through what psychologists call the day residue effect, in which fragments of recent experiences, songs heard, conversations held, places visited, reappear, transformed or nearly unchanged, as the brain integrates new memories into its existing network, blending mundane reality into the surreal, turning simple tasks into adventures and brief meetings into dramatic encounters, effectively making dreams laboratories where life's raw material is tested, shaped, and stored, and noticing these echoes offers insight into the mind's quiet nocturnal work. Sleep also stabilizes emotional experiences, providing a cushion that absorbs the sharp edges of strong feelings. During rest, the brain replays emotional events while stress chemicals are low, allowing processing without re-traumatization, which is why people who sleep after distressing experiences often report calmer moods, whereas sleep deprivation leaves emotions raw, reactive, and unstable. Explaining the worsening of depression and anxiety with insomnia and why therapy often emphasizes rest. The impact of sleep deprivation extends to decision-making, risk-taking, and judgment, as tired individuals are more prone to gamble impulsively, ignore consequences, and take unnecessary risks, with brain scans showing weakened prefrontal cortex function alongside hyperactive reward centers, effectively creating a mind blind to danger. Sleep loss skews calculation, making rational choices feel like gambles and turning the world into a casino of poor judgment, which is why military and corporate leaders equate decision-making while sleep-deprived to intoxication, while restored sleep brings balance, caution, and wisdom back. Sleep deprivation also alters emotional expression, sometimes increasing laughter and amusement, revealing that fatigue heightens emotional reactivity in all directions and lowers thresholds for responses to stimuli, producing phenomena like the midnight sillies, where late-night exhaustion provokes bouts of uncontrolled giggles among friends, demonstrating that sleep stabilizes emotion and keeps reactions proportionate, without which the world feels volatile, simultaneously funnier and harsher, light and shadow unbalanced. Physiologically, sleep is vital for the body's restorative functions. During deep slow-wave sleep, the heart slows dramatically, sometimes by 20 to 30% compared to waking, blood pressure drops, circulation steadies, and the cardiovascular system recovers from daytime strain, acting as built-in therapy to reduce the risk of hypertension and heart disease, allowing the heart to rest and prepare for the next day. While body temperature also drops, conserving energy and supporting metabolic efficiency, establishing a rhythm of renewal in which strain and release alternate nightly, reinforcing sleep as the body's hidden ally, silently maintaining cardiovascular health, neural stability, emotional equilibrium, and cognitive function across decades of life, highlighting that sleep is not optional but a biological necessity deeply intertwined with human survival, creativity, emotional resilience, learning, and overall well-being. As sleep approaches, the body cools, with core temperature dropping by 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit, signaling the brain that it is time to rest, a process orchestrated by the circadian rhythm that lowers metabolism and dilates blood vessels in the skin to release heat, a mechanism so vital that people struggling with insomnia often exhibit disrupted temperature regulation. And simple techniques like a warm bath before bed work by drawing heat to the skin and allowing the body to cool. Afterward, easing the transition into slumber. This nightly cooling is not mere comfort but biology's way of ensuring proper rest, a rhythm reinforced in evolution by cooler nights that bound sleep to darkness. And to fall asleep is partly to surrender heat, letting the body drift into calm, like slipping into evening itself. During sleep, the body releases growth hormone, especially in deep slow-wave sleep, a substance crucial for repair, regeneration, and development, driving bone and tissue growth in children while maintaining muscle, supporting metabolism, and aiding healing in adults, with pulses of growth hormone concentrated in the early night, making these hours invaluable for recovery. Whether for athletes seeking repair after exertion or patients healing from injury, and insufficient sleep diminishes this release, slowing recovery and weakening resilience. A reminder that sleep is active construction, a workshop where muscles knit, bones strengthen, and tissues renew, operating across every stage of life with growth hormone whispering through the bloodstream to ensure waking life can continue, marking sleep as the factory and growth hormone as its tireless laborer. Sleep is also essential for DNA repair, with genes linked to restoration activating during rest, particularly in the brain, correcting damage accumulated from daily exposure to ultraviolet light, toxins, and metabolic processes, a silent but monumental effort, as mice deprived of sleep show increased neuronal DNA damage, illustrating that every night, trillions of cells work in concert to safeguard the blueprint of life, making sleep not mere rest but survival at the molecular scale, where closing one's eyes grants cells permission to heal, preserving the body strand by strand across a lifetime. Sleep plays a role in protecting against Alzheimer's disease, as deep sleep engages the brain's lymphatic system to clear waste proteins such as beta amyloid, whose accumulation forms the plaques characteristic of Alzheimer's, meaning that chronic sleep problems correlate with higher cognitive decline risk while healthy sleep promotes resilience, reframing bedtime as prevention and an investment in future clarity. And nightly rest fights for memory and identity, slowing the unraveling that defines neurodegenerative conditions. Chronic sleep deprivation accelerates brain aging, with scans revealing cortical thinning, reduced connectivity, impaired white matter, cognitive decline, and slower processing, suggesting that the nightly reset is crucial for maintaining resilience, though improving sleep quality through consistent schedules, darkness, and reduced noise can slow deterioration, emphasizing that today's sleep shapes tomorrow's brain. Sleep duration also requires balance. While essential, regularly exceeding 9 hours per night has been associated with higher rates of cardiovascular disease, depression, and metabolic problems, possibly reflecting underlying illness rather than causation, highlighting that the healthiest adult sleep range is 7 to 9 hours, enough to sustain without excess, and that occasional oversleeping is harmless. A natural response to fatigue, yet chronic oversleeping may signal imbalance, illustrating that health lies in rhythm and balance. Cultural attitudes have historically stigmatized long sleep as laziness, linking short sleep to success and productivity, while long sleep is celebrated in some contexts as luxury or privilege, especially among aristocratic households of past centuries or in modern hotels offering sleep retreats, reflecting society's resistance to rest but also framing rest as indulgence. A reminder that slowing down and sleeping deeply without guilt is both restorative and dignified. Napping, once stigmatized, is gaining acceptance in modern workplaces, with companies providing nap pods and quiet rooms, supported by research showing improved productivity, creativity, and safety, and pilots, surgeons, and emergency workers have long relied on naps, now emulated by office workers, programmers, and executives. With cultural acceptance in places like Japan reflecting dedication rather than sloth, signaling that the human body cannot be ignored and that the modern siesta quietly returns even in the digital age. Sleep, despite centuries of study, remains one of science's greatest mysteries, with consciousness fading nightly and animals risking vulnerability, yet sleep restores, heals, and processes, serving memory, emotion, repair, creativity, and survival in ways no single theory fully explains, suggesting its vast, ancient, and multifaceted nature. And each night humans surrender to a phenomenon science cannot fully map, a frontier and puzzle hidden in plain sight, where closing our eyes holds secrets, and sleep emerges not just as necessity but as wonder itself, encompassing cooling, growth hormone release, DNA repair, neuroprotection, emotional stabilization, decision-making, risk regulation, cardiovascular repair, metabolic balance, cultural expression, and cognitive enhancement, reflecting a complex, intricate system in which body and brain renew, integrate, and safeguard the essence of life, and so the journey through the quiet science of sleep illuminates its profound importance for survival, health, performance, and well-being, showing that to rest is not weakness, but resilience, not indulgence, but preservation, and in every moment of slumber, the body and mind quietly, tirelessly, and wondrously work to sustain the individual, preparing for the challenges of tomorrow while preserving the blueprint of today, a seamless, intricate, and beautiful symphony of biology, consciousness, and mystery, where each night the rhythm of sleep continues unbroken, knitting together the physical, emotional, cognitive, and cellular threads that make life possible, a reminder that the simple act of closing one's eyes connects the human experience to the deepest currents of survival, repair, and wonder, and that in honoring sleep, one honors life itself, finding in darkness, stillness, and surrender a power both ancient and immediate, restorative and protective, necessary and mysterious, a gift freely available, yet easily misunderstood, whose secrets unfold silently night after night in the remarkable architecture of the body and the mind, a testament to the profound elegance and indispensability of sleep across all of human existence. From the strange patterns of jellyfish drifting in the sea to the dreams that have inspired symphonies and stories, to the enduring mysteries that continue to puzzle scientists, we have wandered together through the landscapes of night, exploring the profound, intricate, and often hidden dimensions of sleep. And what we have learned is both simple and deeply meaningful. Sleep is not an absence of activity, not a waste of time, but a rich, vital world unto itself, a nightly voyage during which the body repairs, the mind renews, and the heart finds its natural rhythm again, a universal experience as essential as breathing, yet still filled with secrets science has yet to fully uncover, connecting all living beings across space and time, from dogs twitching in dreams of running through fields, to dolphins resting one hemisphere of their brains at a time, to astronauts floating in their tethered cocoons, suspended in weightless slumber. And this remarkable phenomenon is a common thread, uniting the smallest creatures to the largest, the most ancient past to the distant future, compelling each of us nightly, willingly or not, to return home to its restorative embrace. And as you listen now, perhaps you feel yourself slowing, your heartbeat softening, your breathing deepening, and your thoughts gently drifting like leaves on water, the edges of your mind softening as the day dissolves in the quiet of night, leaving no need to hold tightly onto facts, stories, or worries, which can scatter like stars across a dark sky as your body slips naturally into the rhythm it has known for eons, allowing sleep to select what it needs from the day, some memories, fragments, or perhaps a fleeting dream, while the remainder simply falls away, leaving space for restoration, growth, and clarity. And in this gentle surrender, we recognize that sleep is not just a pause but an active, essential process, where the body repairs muscles, regenerates tissues, strengthens bones, releases growth hormone, lowers heart rate and blood pressure, maintains metabolic balance, repairs DNA, clears waste proteins from the brain, consolidates memories, stabilizes emotions, enhances problem solving, refreshes strategic thinking, prevents accidents, protects against cognitive decline, supports athletic performance, and harmonizes the mind and body in ways that are as invisible as they are indispensable, weaving a nightly tapestry that safeguards life, identity, and resilience, while reminding us that rest is both deeply biological and culturally significant, celebrated at times as luxury, stigmatized at others as laziness, yet always vital for survival, creativity, and well-being. And as modern society increasingly recognizes, brief naps and strategic rest are not indulgences but tools that enhance productivity, safety, and health. Aligning with ancient practices such as the siesta, while embracing the timeless rhythms of circadian and biphasic sleep that connect us to our ancestors, whose nights were once divided into first and second sleep, a pattern disrupted by artificial light but revealed still in experimental conditions absent electricity, suggesting that the human body naturally oscillates between cycles of wakefulness and rest, a design reflected even in the mind's dreamscapes where experiences from the day are woven into surreal experimental laboratories for memory, creativity, and emotional processing, helping to integrate, soften, and reframe experiences so that waking life can continue with resilience and clarity. And in this light, insomnia, oversleeping, or disrupted patterns are not merely failures but reflections of biology negotiating with modern life, emphasizing that balance and rhythm are essential, and that each night's rest, whether brief or extended, is a deliberate, active investment in the body, mind, and soul, shaping cognition, emotion, health, and longevity. So as we come to the close of this exploration, we are reminded that sleep is not simply a nightly duty or passive pause but a vibrant, vital process that sustains life across all scales, from the molecular to the societal. And as you allow yourself to rest now, feel the support beneath your body, the steady rhythm of your breath, the gentle softening of thought, knowing that in this moment you are safe, you are held, and you are permitted to drift freely into sleep, surrendering to the quiet intelligence of your body and mind, trusting that when you awaken, the world will be waiting. But for now, sleep is yours, a profound gift, an ancient and universal rhythm, a harbor of restoration and wonder, a nightly voyage where body, mind, and heart are renewed, where dreams, healing, and memory intertwine. And in this surrender lies the timeless truth that rest is not absence but life itself. And so, in the calm of the night, allow yourself to drift, knowing that sleep is not only necessary, it is miraculous, it is your right, it is home, and good night.